don't know if you can even hear that. There's a tiny squeak there and lots of iron around it. Or not lots of iron, it's the ground and just general. Anyway, hi there. I'm back on this pasture and it seems like an age since I've been here last. It's really nice to be back. There are cows in this field, there always are, and they've got calves. So I'm going to be a little bit careful. There's not that many and they are, I don't know if you know me from these videos up here, they're pretty cool. I'm not expecting any trouble, they're pretty relaxed. But just in case, I've got to sort of keep my distance. And I found a couple of really nice things already, including a hammered coin, so it's just lovely to be back. I do love it up here, and I keep finding stuff. Anyway, this is the sort of thing I've got to go for now. I've sort of got most of the obvious stuff, I think. Keep catching myself on the Velcro of my gloves. Just for the record, you're more likely to get me live digging on a day like this when signals are few and far between. I can be very sure of something being good by the sound it gives me and the depth it gives me. You are less likely to see me live digging when there are signals all over the place. I'm in a new field, there's lots of trash, there's lots of bottle tops, there's all over things. I'm not going to live dig at all then, because I don't wear a chest cam or I don't do everything on my telephone. I set up cameras and stuff. And if I were to set up every single dig I did, I'd never get any digging done. But today, something like this, well, that's 50-50. I'm prepared to go for it. And for all those who say we like watching you dig up rubbish, so film everything, because I just can't do that. Anyhow, rant over. This is going to be deep. It's either going to be a little bit of iron. As I said, I reckon it's 50-50. Well, that's sounding much nicer already. Right, it's gone up 75-25 to something nice. Yeah, that's going to be good. It's nice and deep. It's got a nice wisp to it. No, I reckon this is looking more likely to be iron now, I'm afraid. But it is. Oh, it's just tiny and the pinpointer isn't picking it up yet. Got to keep my eye on these cows. I'm going to have to give up on this. I forgot my belt this morning, so my trousers keep falling down. I think this is going to be too deep. And I've still got to keep it slightly careful at the moment, so I don't want to really exert myself too much digging to the centre of the earth. No, I've got to stop there, I'm afraid. But I think that's very, very deep iron. Very, very deep. I might continue on another day, but not today. Anyhow, I have found a couple of really cool things. Firstly, this hammered coin. I don't know who it is. It's not in great condition. I suspect it's Edward IV or someone like that. There's enough on it, but I can't really see the monarch. He's almost gone completely. Lovely long cross on the back with a sort of quatrefoily centerpiece. I don't know when I lost you there, but you would have certainly heard it. Yeah, I can sort of make out the king there, but not sure. But anyway, just a lovely thing to find, because, you know, I come up here quite a lot, and there's obviously less and less and less when I do come up. And then this, now God knows what this is, but it's old. It looks semi to be cast, but I'm not sure. It looks like it would be a key. But it's flat on one side and sort of rounded off and chamfered on the other. So I just don't know. Is it a sort of handle of sorts, or maybe something to hang the chain off? Lord knows, but that's medieval, I would have thought, if not earlier. I absolutely love it, really cool. So two absolutely beautiful things. But nothing in that hole. Or nothing I'm prepared to keep digging for anyway. Hi there and welcome to headquarters. Well, I was sort of right to be a bit excited about this. I just felt it was old. I'd never seen anything quite like it. I've got to be quite quick today with the headquarters bits because we've got a lot to get through. We come back here several times. And we come back here also with something very related to this, but I don't want to spoil the surprise. So I'm going to have to do it in different segments. But
As I said, I've never seen anything quite like it. It did remind me of something, but as it turns out, it's not what I thought it might have been. It looked to me like it was gonna, you know, you would have hung something from it, and to a degree, what you do. I put it on the detectinghub.co.uk. Information below. This didn't cause them any trouble at all, and they got back to me fairly quickly. And it is a late Saxon, possibly Norman strap distributor. Now, that still didn't mean an awful lot to me. It did ring bells of horse harness, bridle and things like that. I was also pointed to one on the Portable Antiquities scheme, which described it as a harness fitting. Now, I'm still not much the wiser. It says here, incomplete late Saxon bridle side link from a horse harness. Well, I'm not very good on horses. But I suspect it's, from the photograph here, it's something to do with fitting all the straps of leather around the sort of the face, the head of the horse. That's what it looks like to me. It's just got the most beautiful patina and just feel about it. It's so tactile. I hate to say it, but much nicer than anything I've seen on the Portable Antiquities scheme, even though it would have, by the look of it, gone on a bit and probably have been attached to something else. Now, Kath from the Detecting Hub brilliantly put me onto this guide here. Now, this is from the Colchester metal detecting website. It's a brilliant website for referring to especially medieval and post-medieval finds. There's all sorts of brilliant for JETTONS, horsey stuff, buckles, all sorts of things. I'll leave a link to them. But anyway, they've got a fantastic guide on how all these things would have worked. And I can see here, just here in this figure here, where my thing might have been. You could see where it looks like there's something. I don't know the terminology. The thing that goes in the horse's mouth like that, the bit presumably, and it would have been attached to one of the cheek pieces here, I would have thought. Anyway, the long and short of it is, it's a bloody lovely piece of Saxon history, and I'm absolutely thrilled. Anyway, let's go back to the fields.
God, it's nice to be out. And I'm finding some lovely things. Now, a bit squawky, but it's the right depth. Oh, it's just on the top there. That's a really good sign. If you know me from these videos, I don't dig anything with a double beep here. Anything deeper than a double beep, I'll consider. But there's a lot of rubbish on the surface or near the surface. That's perfect. It's just bang. Oh, and you know I like to tell you when I'm pinpointing well, and I'm pinpointing well today. Could be a cartridge, there's a few cartridges here. Oh rats, it's just a piece of very blobby, molten old lead. But it gave a good sound, and that's just, you know, don't mind finding this at that depth, it's just a good sign. When you're finding too much lead all over the place, it gets boring, but that sort of type at that depth's fine. Don't mind that. Sorry, my jeans keep falling down. I forgot my belt this morning. It's a real pain. This sounds a bit... not iron, obviously, but it's big and deep. I suspect it's a big lump of lead. I don't know if you can hear it. Do you hear? It's just a big area. But I promised you live digs today. Yeah, I just don't like the fact that it sounds enormous. But I've got some really good things to show you anyway. Well, it's just in here. And it is big. I think that's a stone. Was that it? Yeah, that's a bit of flint, fortunately. I thought that was lead. That's the sound it's giving. Big bit of lead. Nope. Hooray! Well, that's why it gave a bonking sound, because it's an old crotal bell. Now, it's one of the, God, it's in good condition. That's a beauty. That's going to ring very nicely. It's definitely one of the later ones. You can tell by the crotal bells, the cruder they look, the later they are. Well, if you've got one with a nice little neat drilled hole, then it's actually one of the early ones. This is probably 16th, 17th century, but it's in beautiful condition, like all the things in this thing, and it's got loads of detail on it. God, I can't wait to clean that up, because that's going to be an absolute beauty. It'll ring, and I can see WC perhaps. That's lovely, because it's got a maker's name and everything. I very rarely find them with the maker's name. How cool is that? Right, what else to report? That looked rather ordinary until I did notice a little bit of a blip on the end there, and I turned it around and it's a strap end. It's a nice medieval strap end, so that's good. And then a Victorian coin. Now that's quite late for here, again in lovely condition. It's a young Victoria, 1860 by the look of it, halfpenny, halfpenny. Just a couple of really cool things. And on top of that, this haven't really even cleaned it up yet. That's my subconscious talking. This is a buckle of sorts, and I can't remember, but it's an early one. It's certainly 1250 or something like that. It's a bit buggered up. It's a bit bent over, but God, there's still loads of stuff coming up here. It's wonderful. Well, what an absolute beauty. It's so lovely when you find these and they ring still. Now, as I said in the video, general rule on crotal bells, the cruder and earlier they look, the later they are. When you've got the neater little ones with the drilled hole, I don't have any to hand, but I've discussed this quite a lot before. When the neater ones with the little drilled holes are the earlier ones, they date to 15th, 16th century. These ones are definitely later, 17th, 18th, they even go into the 19th century. This one could have gone into the 19th century, mainly because I can quite clearly see W and either C or G, and it's likely to be G, because that stands for William Gwyn of Aldbourne, who was active between 1770 and 1813, so the turn of the 19th century. And as I said, the way it's been decorated, etc., on the lower hemisphere, it looks like it could be quite an early one. It's not, but it's lovely to have a maker's name and it to be in this sort of condition and still to ring. I mean, this is a really special one. I've found several up there recently. I found a really, really good one literally 2 or 3 days ago, and I found another one later on in this video, but it's not good enough to have its own segment at headquarters on. Anyway, let's go back to the fields. That sounds deep enough. That's a very good sign. It's nice and deep. Well, that's quite cool. Nothing particularly special, but it's got a design on it. I suspect it's a strap end of sort. Looks medieval with that sort of zigzagging. But But then again, it does look quite thin and pressed at the same time. But don't strap, that's what strap ends look like. Got another very good sign of just still loads of stuff here. Suddenly getting really cold. It's Saturday the 4th, I think, 4th or 5th of March, and next week it's gonna, from tomorrow it's gonna get really, really cold again. I can feel it in the air. That's on the edge, i.e. I think it's just deep enough, but only just. Any more shallow and it will be a ring pull for sure. But I just think it's got enough on it. No, bugger, it's too shallow. Even though it is just there, but still, it's too shallow. Had to be, didn't it? It's a musket ball. But it's a squash musket ball. It's hit someone or something. I'm gonna do the thumbnail shot. Well, God, I'm finding some interesting things today, and this is another one. God knows what it is, but it gave a hell of a signal. Very squawky. Not actually particularly pretty. And God knows what it is. It looks old though, and it would have fitted on the end of something. Just don't know. But I love it throwing up really, really cool bits of bronze and brass and all sorts of things. God knows what that is. It looks like the sort of a ferrule or whatever they call them. Ferrule, things that you stick on the end of a pencil which had a rubber in it. That's a sort of look. Or maybe it's a dagger end or a pommel end or something. Who knows? Lovely though, really.
Welcome back to headquarters for the last time, where I really wanted to show you this because I'm absolutely thrilled with it. My two favourite finds on the day were both Saxon, because turns out that this is Saxon too, after that earlier horsey bit. I mean, it's an absolutely beautiful piece of copper alloy or bronze, and I had no idea what it was. Absolutely no idea. It looks old, it's so tactile, and it's in absolutely beautiful condition. Turns out it's what's called a stirrup terminal, and I had no idea that stirrup terminals even existed. So it was a completely new one on me, and something that I will now I will never forget. Every time I see one of these or someone puts this up on something like the Detecting Hub and says, gosh, what's this? I'll go, it's a Saxon stirrup terminal, don't you know? It's the wonderful thing about this hobby. You just don't forget. Once you see something, research it, know about it for once, you'll never forget it. And every time you see one, you'll know exactly what it is. But this one's an absolute beauty. Now, even though I now know what it is, it still didn't mean much. What's a stirrup terminal? The PAS, the Portable Antiquity Scheme, has several stirrup terminals on it, and this is where the website that Kath directed me to, the Colchester Metal Detecting Club, who are really good. As I said, I'll leave a link to them. They have got a little section on Saxon horse stuff, and a little section on stirrup terminals, and you can see exactly how they work. Turns out that the stirrup itself was probably made out of two separate metals. You've got your iron, your ferrous bit, which is actually the triangular section of the stirrup where your foot goes in, and then you had fancy terminals that sort of locked the bits together. So you had an iron bit coming down there, and then a bit like that to finish off the triangle. And these little sections, Tasky, stop. Come on, Tasks. Tasky can see something out of the window. I'll let him out in a minute. These little bits, these terminals, sort of joined them all together. And as I said, it's completely new on me, and I'm absolutely thrilled. I've now found a Saxon stirrup terminal, and it dates to about, like the last bit, from about 950 to 1050, something like that. Gosh, you know, it's 1,000 years old. It's just so wonderful to hold something in that condition. There are several on the Portable Antiquities Scheme, as I said. Again, not quite can't still find something as nice as that. Task, come here. Come on, Task. Come on. Up, up, up. Up, up. Anyway, that's the last you'll see of us from headquarters today. And thank you very much. Let's go back to the fields. Come on, Tasky.
My God, I very nearly didn't bother with this one. That couldn't be more ring pulley if you tried. And the reason it sounds so ballsy, because it's so big. No, I haven't had a proper look. It must be a Jetton, but what a monster. I mean, you get Jettons and Jettons, and I found some time. I mean, I found loads up here, but I don't think that can be. I just think it's too big. But what else could it possibly be? It's copper, unless it's a forgery. And I can see loads of writing around the outside. I mean, it's got to be a Jetton because I can't think what else it is. Is it a Lion of St. Mark? I mean, but what a monster. I did a video on Jettons. I'll put it up here. It's a really cool, it's a very interesting subject. And this one's not in the greatest condition, but it's big and unusual. I don't think it's silver. I think it is copper. It's copper and big. Whoa. Gosh, it just... God. It is a gloomy old day. I am sorry for all the... You're just going to see white cloud behind me. And I've just dug up the most incredible buckle. Now, I can still see traces of the enamelling on it, white and blue enamelling on it. It's an absolute beauty. But when I clean it up, we may see more enamelling on that, I just don't know. But it's not the earliest thing in the world. I think it's 17th century. Even more interesting is I found exactly the same one on this field, but about, well, a long way off that way, in better condition. We might whiz back to headquarters and I'll show you the really good one alongside it. Right, let's go. But anyway, and let's finish on this one because it's quite close to that where that buckle was, and it's nice and deep and nice and faint. God, it's the first time I've been out on pasture for a long time. I've really enjoyed myself. Well, I don't know how deep it is, and it's big and a bit clunky sounding. Could just be lead. I'm going to turn my speaker off. It's playing up. It's so odd. I can never work out when it's going to be good or when it's going to be bad. So you'll just have to rely on. Still in there. That was even fainter. Wasn't that faint to start with, to be fair. I really have enjoyed myself today, I must say. It's been fun. Right, God, I'm pinpointing well today. Got to pull my trousers up, sorry. I always tell you when I'm pinpointing well, I tell you when I'm pinpointing badly as well. But this is absolutely bang straight down at about 10-11 inches. And it's still in there. Gosh. Gosh, this is deep. Let's hope it's a goodie to end on. I think I can see it. I think it's lead. No. Gosh. It's another crotal bell. It's a nice early one. Sadly, and gosh, look at the silvering on it. I love these little ones. Sadly, it's not a whole one, but it's an earlier one, and it would have been a lovely one. It's probably quite tin based, it's got a very silver sheen to it. That would have been an absolute beauty. It's sad it's not all there, but right down there. Now, it's not the wetter soil, but the signals it's giving today are just magic. The depth I'm getting. That camera turns itself off if I'm talking for too long. It can sense when I'm getting boring. It just goes click. I can see because the red buttons off it. Thank you very much for watching. What a day. What a really fun day. And I'll see you next time.